Audio Jungle.
All right, we are back. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review, where we come to you live from Mont Branch Library. And shout out to Mont Branch. They always roll out the red, black, and green carpet whenever we show up. What we're going to do right now is click on our intro video. That way you can like, share, and comment. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review.
I must confess that that dream that I had that day has at many points turned into a nightmare. Now the other thing that we've got to come to see now that many of us didn't see too well during the last 10 years, that is that racism
not guilty
is still alive in American society and much more widespread.
Broke his neck after Baltimore police.
A handful of protesters, a handful of criminals and thugs who...
Many in moments of anger, many in moments of deep bitterness, engage in riots. And as long as America postpones justice, we stand in the position of having these recurrences of violence and riots over and over again. Social justice and progress are the absolute guarantors of riot prevention.
Mr. Gray's death was a homicide.
The Negro was freed from the bondage of physical slavery.
The athletes marched onto a stage.
But at the same time, the nation refused to give him land to make that freedom meaningful. Freedom without land to cultivate. Freedom and famine at the same time.
And create jobs for our people.
The Negro is to be free. He must move down into the inner resources of his own soul and sign with a pen and ink of self-assertive manhood his own emancipation proclamation. But I want to get the language right tonight. I want to get the language so right that everybody here will cry out, yes, I'm black, I'm proud of it, I'm black and beautiful. Individually, we are poor when you compare us with white society in America. We are poor. Collectively, we are richer than all the nations in the world with the exception of 9. That's power right there if we know how to prove it. We begin the process of building a greater economic base. And at the same time, we are putting pressure where it really hurts. We don't have to argue with anybody. We just need to go around to these stores and to these massive industries in our country. Say, God sent us by here to say to you that you're not treating his children right. We come by here to ask you to make the first item on your agenda fair treatment where God's children are concerned. Now, if you're not prepared to do that, we do have an agenda that we must follow. And our agenda calls for withdrawing economic support from you. We mean business now, and we are determined to gain our rightful place in God's world.
All right, we are back. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. As we said before, we show up here live. We're streaming live from my branch library. Let's get into some intros. We get into our mission statement and guiding principles. And man, we've got dynamite guests today, Jody. All right,
We do.
that surprised me. All right, hey, who am I? I'm Brother Washington Muhammad. I'm one of the co-founders of CSRN, along with Mike Leonardi and Jabril Bey. What am I wearing today? Today I have on my, let's move that laptop. Yeah, I've got on my CSRN shirt from our last logo. We've updated our logo, and we're going to get some shirts soon, Jody, if he breaks open the bank and has us, to do what we do. I've got a yellow shirt on, I got my beads, my brown hat, and as always, I'm dedicated to respecting, protecting, and defending all Black bodies, no matter the cost, no matter the gains or loss. This is the home of Black Lives Matter and Justice or Else, and we're doing this for the activist culture and the protest community. This is our 10th year of CSRN and moving on to our 11th year of being unbossed, and decentralized, and that happened in 2014, where a lot of us as activists who were doing this on our own, we found a way to pool our resources together. It was Jabril Bey and Mike Leonardi that came up with the concept of community solidarity, where we didn't have to be pastors, preachers, politicians, or professionals, just anybody with a bullhorn and some facts, and maybe have a group of people behind you that agree with you. And here we are, Jody. Hey, listen, I really need to move this along. If you can do your intro, get into our mission statement. I'll back you up with the guiding principles, and then we'll take a break, come back with our guests, and keep it moving.
What's up, everybody? Jody J. Summers, child of the system, better known as Spoken Truth, the treasure and artistic creative person of this awesome organization.
I'll give you that.
That's kept you guys coming back for almost 11 years now. You could be any place in the world, talk to any organization, but you choose to tune into us every Tuesday from 6 to 7:30, whether it be on YouTube, Facebook, or Spotify. And again, we describe ourselves because we know around this time you got kids, although school is out. I don't know. I got a grandbaby, so I got people in school. But
it's like that now with grandchildren. All right, okay.
But we want to make sure that you're paying attention because, hazards on the road. We don't want you watching screens or anything while you could be grocery shopping or taking kids to practice. That way you can always come back and watch us, but we want to make sure that you know who you're listening to on the other end. So I'm a big brown bear of a man that is covered in tattoos and crystals and stones and bones and artifacts, from traveling around the world for the past decade, writing books and performing and connecting with people, taking political offices, running nonprofits, and doing all the stuff. What I'm wearing is, of course, my brand hat, my hoodies that I make from book number 22. 24 is published. You'll see it at the end of the show, a sneak peek for everybody like that. And we're just happy to have you here. How do you get to this point, though? Because over the past decade, if you watched anything in the news and you ain't been under a rock, a lot has gone on. A lot of people with strong intentions for life, whether they be politics or the environment or healthcare or
whatever, really.
Stuff like that. And how do you keep them into the mode of not just burning the country down? Well, we got a mission statement.
And our guiding principles.
Which is like our walls and foundation. So when me and Brother Washington are gone from these seats, there'll be somebody else here that will be walking on the foundations that we've built through all the tumultuous times and everything like that. So again, we thank you for being here. We can't wait to see our guest. And this is something, if you are going into an organization, even if it's food or clothing or you want to clean up the block, make sure they have something in place to let you know that they're not just trying to do a money grab or ambulance chase or clout or anything like that, because that never really lasts long, as we all know. We are Community Solidarity Response Network of Toledo, formed on November 25th, 2014, after it was announced that the killer, Ferguson, Missouri police officer of Michael Brown, an unarmed teenager, would not be indicted. We bring awareness to the injustices experienced by Black men, women, and children who are disproportionately murdered, provoked, attacked, and harassed by law enforcement. We want justice. We bring police impunity has to end. We utilize the tactics of protest, civil disobedience, event disruption, and citizen advocacy to give voice to those who are otherwise voiceless. We facilitate progressive, community-based events that help foster self-development, and we discuss measures to hold local leadership accountable to their sworn duties, be they politician, clergy, law enforcement, educators, etc., etc. We want justice, equal justice under the law. We want justice applied equally to all, yes, all, regardless of class, creed, or color. For all lives to matter, Black lives, yes, Black lives must matter. Injustice anywhere is a threat to justice everywhere. Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr.
And maybe later on we'll get back to our Black Lives Matter moment.
Black Lives Matter moment and all other stuff.
We're coming up on the 5th year anniversary of the Toledo Accountability Rally that we had right there at the corners of Jackson and Erie. Well, I'll call it Tear Gas Saturday. You call it May Day if you want, all right? Hey, these are our guiding principles. Having strong personalities like Jody, myself, and others, it's on paper, it looks like a good idea, but it's also a recipe for disaster. So we adopted the guiding principles for the movement for Black lives, and this is how we keep each other in check so that we just don't show up and it's grand opening, grand closing. These are the CSRN guiding principles. All Black lives matter, queer Black lives, trans Black lives, formerly and presently incarcerated Black lives, poor working class Black lives, wealthy Black lives, differently abled Black lives, Black men and women lives, immigrant Black lives, Black elderly and children lives. All Black lives matter and are the creators of this space. We throw no one under the bus. We rise together. Ashe?
Ashe.
And that means one who changes a thing or one who makes a thing happen. Thriving instead of surviving, our vision is based on the world we want, not the one we're currently in. We seek to transform, not simply react. We want our people to thrive, not just exist. Think beyond the possible. Ashe?
Ashe.
Experimentation and innovation must be built into our work. Embrace the best tools, practices, and tactics, and leave those behind that no longer serve us. Ashe.
Ashe.
Evaluation assessment must be built into our culture. Critical reflection must be a part of all of our work. We learn from our mistakes and our victories. Ashe.
Ashe.
Principled struggle can exist in a positive environment. We must be honest with one another by embracing direct, loving communication. Ashe.
Ashe.
Love, self-love is practiced in every element of all we do. Love and self-love must be a driver of our work and an indicator of our success. Without this principle and without healing, we will harm each other and undermine our movement. Ashe?
Ashe.
360-degree vision. We honor past struggles and wisdom from elders. The work we do today builds the foundations of movements of tomorrow. We consider our mark on future generations. Ashe?
Ashe.
Self-care means we build resilient spaces by budgeting time, energy, and resources for healing. Self-care is a regular, consistent, intentional, and essential practice. Ashe?
Ashe.
The most directly affected people are experts at their own lives and should be in leadership at the center of our movement and telling their stories directly. Ashe?
Ashe.
Training and leadership development should be fundamental. Our movement must constantly grow and leadership must constantly multiply. Ashe. Jody, before we take a short break, you are on your, what's the number of book that you're on?
I'm on my 6th independent and 24th publication. Last Sunday, The Blade released one of my poems in there with a whole bunch of other poets and stuff. So I will give a sneak peek. Too much stuff to do at the moment, but at the end of the show, you guys will get to see the proof copies, which are the ones that as books for me, what no other author does. you get to autograph like a yearbook. I take those with me all around the world, and yeah, it's called Childhood Trauma Series Volume 2, A Decade of Recovery Through Art.
All right. Hey, listen, we're going to take a short break and come right back. This is the CSRN podcast, our week in review. We'll be right back.
Canal.
En esta hermosísima ciudad de Orlando.
I'm here in Barranquilla, Colombia, and in sunny Miami. Daytona Beach, mis amigos, that's where we're at today.
Desde la ciudad de Cartagena, Colombia.
We are in Orlando right now, here in Florida.
I'm Helene Sheets, Director of Marketing and Communications at beautiful Lourdes University, and we've been a proud sponsor and supporter of Voces Latinas TV for over a decade. It has been a fantastic partnership. It's been our doorway into the Latino community. We've met so many incredible people, created so many partnerships. Our students absolutely love the connections we've made through Voces Latinas TV, and we're looking forward to at least another decade, 2 decades.
All right, we are back. This is the CSRN podcast, our week in review. Shout out to our tech team that always takes the other page down as soon as we come on. Family, we have a dynamite guest today, and as usual, we have our customary thing that we do at CSRN where our guest will tell us who they are, what they're wearing, and what are we talking about today. So it's all you. Who are you? What are you wearing? And what are we talking about today?
So, Roberto Torres, and I am I would say a veteran at public service. So I've been serving in 6 mayoral administrations. I served 3 terms with Mayor Figbeiner, 1 term with Mayor Jack Ford. I went to Canton, Ohio to be the Director of Economic Development there for Mayor Healy. And then the last 6 years, I've been working with Mayor Duggan in Detroit. So doing economic and community development work in every space that I've been in.
All right. So you're back. Why Toledo mayor? Why independent? And why now?
So as I said, I've been in various cities. And in each of the cities that I've been at, I've seen progressive movement.
Right.
I've seen how cities have grown. I've seen how cities have identified themselves. They branded themselves for something in the future. And I have a family here. I'm a family of 13, one of 13 in my family. So I would
I
often
did not
come
know
back.
that.
Yeah,
all right?
yeah. So
you fight one, you fight them all.
Yeah.
I need to write that down.
you said what do I wear, right? So
Yeah.
I'm of Mexican descent. My father is from Agüita, Coahuila, Mexico. My mother from Dilley, Texas, and so I'm a country boy. So I wear cowboy boots and hat, and out of courtesy for this interview, I left my hat in my car.
Okay.
But I do wear the casual look of Western wear.
All right. I'm sure the people that are watching this out there, when did you get your start in politics, and what was it about politics that made you lock into this?
Well, I could say that it started when I was in college. So I was a student leader at Bowling Green State University.
Okay. Shout out to Falcons.
Yeah,
all right.
and it was one of the first times that I met a living president. So as a student leader, I was able to meet Ronald Reagan, President Reagan, in 1984. And so that was the first of many presidents that I would meet along my lifetime.
Yeah. Okay.
And so I served in a military service. I'm a Desert Storm Marine veteran.
Okay. all right.
And so I just felt that
We are checking the list.
Yeah.
All right. All right. I didn't put that on the list, Jody.
So I started working when I came back to Toledo, 9 years in Catholic administration. So I was working with Catholic schools and doing outreach to the minority community. So in that capacity, what I was doing was raising funds to have scholarships for minority students in the city to go into Catholic education. And so from there, Mayor Finkbeiner saw me at an event, and he asked me to come and join the administration. And I said to him, I've got one more year committed to the bishop, and if you're interested, come back next year. And so that same event, a year later, to his credit, Cardi went to that event, and he said, young man, are you ready now? And so that impresses somebody at that age. And so I decided to come and work for the city. So that's when I started doing work for the city. In fact, it was one of the first times that I met you, because I was a director of the Youth Commission, and I was also a quasi-director of the Board of Community Relations. So you were managing Self-Expression Teen Theater.
That's correct.
And so that's one of the first times that I came into contact with you and Minister Muhammad. And so I got to know some of the work that you did. But having worked in many administrations and seeing how a development director or somebody who handles development can make sure that there's responsible development. So in other words, not only do you grow a city, but how do you benefit the community as well? Because it's so easy to just do development and have it benefit just the investor.
Well, that's kind of what we've got going right now.
Yeah.
All right. I'm glad you said that. Okay.
So I've been doing that in I've been doing that in other cities, and I decided that why not do it in Toledo? And so I came back last year, and I started to see where things were at in the city.
Yeah.
I started to see that there's actually a regression when it comes to inclusion. For me, it's very big. When people say DEI, what I look at is the inclusion piece. How involved is the city with its residents? And I've seen that inclusion has taken a big step back in the last, I would say, with this administration, but even further back, since the days that I was working with Cardi and Jack. And so that's what really motivated me to run for office.
Somebody had asked me, they knew you were going to be on today. So I'm like, okay, I'll take all your questions and I'll ask. All right. So what do you think sets you apart from Wade? I think it's just you and Wade. All right. That's going to, what sets you and Wade apart?
Two basic things. One is my birth, and the other one is my commitment. So by birth, I was born in a rural community. I was born a child of migrant family. Like I said, one of 13.
Okay.
I was born into poverty. I didn't have any running water or indoor plumbing when I was young. And so I learned to actually be able to overcome some of the challenges. And so having a very humble beginning has been something that I have utilized in my lifetime to be able to be creative about solutions. So I understand the plight. I understand when we talk about slum and blight in neighborhoods. I understand what it means to be able to address those issues and treat all communities the same, and not just those communities that tend to vote more during an election.
Right.
So that was one. The second one is between Wade and myself, I'm the only one that wore the uniform for this country.
Okay.
I'm the only one that can claim that I took an oath of service, and so I made the ultimate decision to be able to wear the uniform for our country, and I think that speaks volumes for anyone. And I salute all those, especially as we've just celebrated, those that gave the ultimate sacrifice on Memorial Day. I respect and honor those who wear the uniform, and that goes into the paramilitary, like police and fire.
Okay.
That's also I think is a very noble cause.
All right. All right. So you've come back. You've launched it. We're on your website right now. Yeah. Okay. We're on the website right now, torresfortoledo.com. So if you're watching this, you can go to the website yourself and click. It's gonna load on home, and then you got about Roberto. All right. Yeah, you've served 6 mayors. All right, 4 cities. Okay. In Detroit, but we're not going to hold that against you. All right.
Wonderful community.
All right. Okay. All right. We're not going to hold that against you. We've got your platform here. And so if you're watching this, scroll through. I've known Roberto quite some time. All right. And when I saw you at the, I think it was at Danetta Carter's pop-up, I don't know, what does she call it? The Business and Health Expo.
It was a business expo. Mm-hmm.
I'm like, okay, all right, so what has the reception been like since you've come back to?
I was told by someone, a political guru, if you will, that said, you're going to have to spend some time getting to know the community because people don't know you. And I said to that individual, I think people know me. I think having been on the school board, having served for 3 different mayoral, three different mayoral terms, and having been involved in community service here in the city, I think the folks know who Roberto Torres is. But I think what people remember is that what I say, I do. Mm-hmm. So I'm a person of my word, and that goes back to the whole service, right? When you swear to defend the Constitution, you swear to defend our country. It's not just words that you just utter, mm-hmm. right? It's something that you take in. And once a Marine, always a Marine, as the saying goes. So that's the way it is with me. Is the loyalty and the honor and the respect is something that'll carry me.
Hey, you mentioned earlier about there's communities in Toledo that really feel that they've been left out. There's a lot of development in one place, but if you walk across the street, there's no development there. What are you going to do to make those people, a lot of us that feel like we've been forgotten, that we're included?
So a lot of times what happens with administrations when they come in, they believe it has to be their ideas. They have to scrap the old and bring in the new, right?
Right. That's true.
And regardless of how effective the old was. And so what's happened in the time that I've been here and I left, what we've had block watches that used to number in the 250. Right. Block watches in all the neighborhoods. That means that citizens were much engaged in the safety of their community. Today, there's less than 50. I was at a meeting, neighborhood block watch, not too long ago, 2 weeks ago, where they said it's less than 5. So,
okay, that's true. I sit on one of them, and man,
it comes down to a commitment from the leadership. It comes down from mayoral commitment to be able to support our neighborhoods. And so what the city is saying, in essence, is we believe we know your community better than you do. And so we're going to make decisions for you. And so that funding stays within the city and build that staff instead of the funding going out to support the neighborhood organizations. So that's one. Another decline that I've seen is the CDCs. We used to have community development corporations on LaGrange Street, River East, Onyx. We used to have them on Monroe. So you used to have all those corridors. They're very important arteries when you come into downtown. Right. And there hasn't been much investment at all in those neighborhoods, and that's because the resources have been taken away from those areas. So my platform is one that says it's about the people. It's always I like to say that it's a Toledo first.
Okay.
First.
I got you.
And what it's going to be is something similar. I know you say about Detroit, but you know what? We can borrow some great ideas for Detroit. And one of them, one of them is the community benefits agreement, which is an agreement that says that there's going to be development that happens in the neighborhoods, that there has to be benefits to the residents that live in that neighborhood, and they will be part of an oversight committee that actually makes sure that those are honored.
All right.
You know, I'll give you a good example right now. So I'm involved in a project that I've known the area very well, but I got to know some of the businesses over on Angola and Burr Road.
Yeah, I'm familiar with that.
And you know, a good friend of mine.
Yeah.
So Bill Hope is kind of like the person that's kind of leading that charge for those residents. So there's a development project there that has been turned away from Port Clinton. It's been turned away from Ottawa County. It's been rejected, and the state court has even agreed. And there is an injunction against the company to actually deposit spent lime there in that community. Well, that community stood up and said, "Not in my backyard." Well, that project right now is being proposed right now on Angola and Bern, and the reason why that's being allowed is that those neighbors have not stood up. And do I need to tell you that a majority of the residents that are in that area are in a low income profile? There are a number of residents that are African American. There is some low income housing there. And so is it because of that city leaders have decided it's okay to dump here? And so that's what I'm talking about.
And that's a good question.
Yeah,
and that's what we've been questioning that for a few years.
That's right.
now.
You were there several years ago on another project that chose to do that. In fact, I think a prison was even projected there.
Right.
And so that community there really needs to have support from elected officials. And this is one where we need to hear more support from our city and our residents, for those residents that are living there. And I think if you do the neighborhood block watches, if you do the support for the neighborhoods, you're going to empower communities to actually step up and represent what's best for them.
Well, what you're saying may make you unpopular, because a lot of people in high places would love things to stay the same. All right.
You haven't even gotten me started. You haven't even gotten started, brother.
So, I mean, it's problematic to talk about change, especially if it's change that's going to benefit people like me, people like Bill and Jody and the others, but and not benefit some of those premier agencies and companies.
I was in one of the monthly meetings of the IMA, right, the Interministerial Alliance,
right,
and we were talking at that point about the assault, the attack on DEI,
right,
and the first thing I said to those ministers is, I don't know how not to be brown. I said, everywhere I walk in, I am brown. I said, I can't make any excuses for who I am. That has been my roots. That's my upbringing. So I should not have to change or apologize for being that. And it seems like what's happening now in this community is, if you're black or brown, you're having to defend that against, against certain policies or certain politics. And you know, one of the things that you'll notice about my candidacy is that I'm running independent. And the reason I'm running independent is that traditionally in this community, if you're beholden to special interests, you said it yourself, if you're beholden to certain entities, you're not going to be, you're going to stay with the status quo.
That's true.
And you're not going to dare to change. You're not going to offend anyone, or you're not going to get out there with a different opinion. I think a candidate needs to be independent in order to represent the community, in order to represent the people.
All right. And my next question is regarding your campaign. Is we talked about how you've been received. We talked about what makes you different from others. So what about, how do you balance your home life? How do you balance family life in order for you to be a healthy mayor?
Yeah,
because we haven't had that. All right, we haven't had that type of thing.
Yeah.
All right.
I said once a Marine, always a Marine. So I'm an avid runner. So I run 5Ks, 10Ks, half marathon, marathons. 2 years ago, I ran the Marine Corps Marathon. And so I'm a marathoner. So I keep myself physically conditioned. I also work out, so I have a regular workout routine, and so I make sure that any stress that I need to relieve happens in the gym. And so those are some of the activities. And every now and then, I socialize, and I have my better half who enjoys a dance,
Okay.
or a presentation, a musical, or a concert. And so I enjoy that too, in order to balance.
All right, I'm looking at your platform online, and I know I've got I think I'm getting a sign from Jody that, hey, come on. All right. Why do you think there's been why we've lost so many Fortune 500 companies here in Toledo? And I'm glad you put this on your website. That's going to make you unpopular too.
Right. So, but it's the truth. It's the truth, right? And here's what's happened is the city has not really looked at a development when it comes to private sector development. So a lot of the development that we've had, I call it a sheets, and it's a sheets and car wash economy is what we've seen here in Toledo. And you've seen a proliferation of those.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah. So you see
should
that.
be writing this down.
But you don't.
On.
What you don't see is you don't see any other industries coming in. When Stellantis had mentioned that they were going to issue pink slips, all the elected officials here in the city were like, "What are we going to do to balance the budget?" As if that's the only thing that we have to balance the budget. When the federal administration said, "We're going to introduce Doge and we're going to make you accountable for all these federal dollars," you had all the elected officials that said, "What are we going to do without these federal funds?" Toledo relies too much on federal funding and not enough on private development. And the one thing that we have to do is we have to think outside of just being that fourth or fifth city in Ohio. We often complain, Toledo is often complaining that Cincinnati, Cleveland, Columbus gets all the attention.
Right.
Well, somebody who's creative will say, why do we have to rely on just those cities? Why don't we create our own regional economic development? Why don't we look up north? We're so close to Detroit. We're so close to Ann Arbor. Why don't we do an energy or an economic triangle with those cities that are more closest and related to the industries that we have?
I don't know. Maybe we need somebody else in one government center that can implement.
Yeah, you know what you need? You need somebody that has not always been in Toledo. See, when your only point of reference is being in Toledo, then you have nothing else to look forward to but the prior administration.
That's true.
But you should be looking at your own administration to say, what have I not done? I said, don't challenge yourself on the prior administration. Tell me what you've done. And if I look at the current administration, I say, what Fortune 500 company has come in? The biggest development that the city has had, and God bless them, has been the nonprofit sector. So ProMedica and the Metro Parks. So they've all done development in downtown and over on the east side. But if it weren't for them, we wouldn't have that development. So we need to bring in more development. Meta that just got announced over in Bowling Green, by the way.
Right.
So here's a tech company that could have easily have chosen Toledo, but they said that they needed three factors that they considered. The first one was infrastructure costs, which is low here in Toledo, so that was negligible. The second one they said was an education base, and we have fine educational institutions here, so that one is you could discount that. But the third one they said was that we needed a municipality that we can work with, And so they didn't even bother with Toledo. That's why they went over with the rural areas, because they wanted that development to come here. You know, I talked to you about a project that we're doing right now. How is it that we're having to try to convince council members that a project that is not acceptable in a rural community in Ottawa County is acceptable here in Toledo? And you've got elected officials that won't even step out and say, "Not in my backyard."
Right.
Well, that's the problem with our city, and we need leadership that's going to say otherwise. We need leadership that is experienced, and the mayor himself mentioned in the state of the city. We need to be more like Detroit. I say I've been 6 years in Detroit, so I accept the endorsement.
All right. Last question. We talked about self-care and what you do for self-care. I like your platform. I want everybody, if you're watching this podcast or you're watching it later, log on to TorresForToledo.com. See what he's about. Check out his platform. See some of the things that he's doing that's in the news, and also Roberto has been in the airport Angola area, and CSRN. We were advocating for change there, so we've got something in common. That you're here for the little guy. You're here to make sure that some of those funds that have been diverted elsewhere, that the community can see some of the benefits of its taxes.
I mean, it comes down to one thing. In the last 3 years, this administration has received $185 million in ARPA funding.
Right.
American Rescue Plan Act.
Remember that.
And I've asked people, where did $185 million go? Because I've not seen the difference in Toledo since those funds came in 3 years ago. And so I think what
that's a good question.
What your listeners need to see is okay, you've already had 8 years.
Right.
You need another 4 years of the same of what you've had. You've had neglect, you had underfunding, and you've not had representation.
Okay. All right. Last question. We end our interviews with gratitude. Could you give us 3 things that you're grateful for? What would those things be?
Yeah. So first and foremost, I'm grateful that I've been able to be given this opportunity. Being born and raised in a very humble beginning, I never envisioned that I would be one step away from being the mayor of a metropolitan city.
Right.
So I'm just thankful to God for the ability to have that. The second is very grateful for the teachings of my parents. A father and mother who had less than a third grade education, coming from Mexico and Texas, to be able to raise their sons and daughters, and many of them have gone into professional areas. So very thankful for the lessons that they taught us. And last but not least, I'm thankful for the relationships that I've been able to have in the years since I started my public service. You're one of those.
All right, I'll start to smile early.
Yeah,
I was hoping I was going to be included.
Of course.
All right,
of course.
that's what's up.
And also the relationship of Renee Clark, who is my campaign manager, also happens to be my beautiful girlfriend.
That's awesome.
And
she's here with us.
She's here with us.
All right.
And I appreciate that she's been there from the very beginning and supporting the campaign, and enough to have to work with with my schedule.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Yeah, just work with being just being around a candidate.
Man, we want you to come back as we get into the campaign season, to check back in with us to see how you're doing. We try not to campaign here during the campaign time, but we still want to just see how you're doing. Is there anybody that we need to talk to? Any houses we need to visit? Would you mind coming back at another time?
I would welcome that. I would love that. The campaign is a long season.
Yeah.
And so we're just beginning. It took a certain stage to get through the primary. Now we're going into the general election. So I would welcome that. And I'd also welcome the support of any of your viewers. If they want to help out, they can actually go into the website, TorresForToledo.com, and then let us know that they want to get involved. We also have campaign literature. So if they want a yard sign, we have those available too. So just reach out to us.
Okay, and it says you can register to vote. You can start to register to vote here. And if you feel the need to donate, there's a page right there.
Oh, then you can't campaign without resources. So
absolutely.
We do have resources, and that's one thing that I will say is, folks have said that you don't have the bank account that the Wade administration has. And I tell people that's true. However, not everything comes down to dollars and cents. A lot of it comes down to the messaging. And
That's
do
right.
you have a message that resonates with the community? And can you build a campaign on podcasts, on social media? Can you build a campaign where the message gets out? But, you know, most importantly, if I have to say one last thing, and that is to your viewers, you know, there are political pundits out there that have already discounted our communities. They've discounted the Black and brown community.
That's true.
And they've said that they don't come out to vote. There aren't any issues unless there's a presidential ticket that they don't come out to vote. And this is the opportunity that we have to be able to energize our community.
That's
say,
right.
For once, can we show that we matter?
That's right.
You know, you're under the banner of, you know, Black Lives Matter. And the only way that we're able to actually affect that is if we get representation. If we don't have representation, then we are afforded the results because we didn't show up.
That's right. All right.
So this is the opportunity to do it, and I'm asking folks to get registered if you're not registered, and also get involved in the campaign, and most of all, you know, vote.
All right. I want to thank you.
Thank you, brother.
And we look forward to seeing you in the weeks and months on into the campaign.
You'll see me on the trail.
All right. Hey, fellas, this is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. We'll be right back.
Did you know addiction is a disease, not a moral dilemma? The opioid epidemic and substance use have a major impact on communities of color and many people's lives. Wasion Wellness Recovery Support Center offers culturally relevant, inpatient and outpatient behavioral health treatment and recovery support services to any Ohioan struggling with addiction, mental health, or finding sober-safe housing. We must recognize that treatment is available and accessible to all. If you are in need of treatment or want to find out more information, you can call 1-888-728-2713.
Pathway Incorporated Brothers United program believes that children are important. Every day we support and advocate for fathers because when children have involved fathers, the whole community thrives. The fathers that come into the Brothers United program are mostly young fathers who are primarily gang members or drug dealers or those involved in lots of trauma from the time when they were youth until now. The program has fatherhood classes which teach you about your role as a father, the importance of being a father, healthy relationships, how to co-parent and work better together with your co-parent, and then economic stability, how to get a job, how to keep a job. It is so important for fathers to learn to take care of their children holistically, not just emotionally, not just physically, but financially as well, because children need a holistic approach.
I really just needed help with being a better father and looking for a job to be able to support my kids.
Some of the problems I was facing when I joined Brothers United was communication with my children. Had some time apart from each other for a while, so they gave me the tools to really get back in communication with them.
Fathers will come into our program with their heads down. 2 weeks later, their heads are up. 3 weeks later, they're laughing and talking. 4 weeks later, they're building a bond. And by the time we get to 8 weeks, they're saying, hey, we want to stay here. What can we do to stay connected?
It gave me a better perspective on how to look at things from other people's point of view. You know, sometimes us as men, we get caught up in being prideful and arrogant, thinking we don't need the help. We do. And we just have to put our pride, selfishness, and arrogance to the side. And when the help is there, take it.
Hope plays the most important role in everything that we do because we have to have hope. We have to remember that fathers are important, and we have to not only say it, but we have to live it, we have to breathe it, we have to do it, we have to convey it to everyone.
Let's get a BU Nation on 3, fellas. 1, 2, 3, BU Nation!
The dads give us hope. The dads supply for us on the days when it gets hard. On the days when we've seen more violence than we ever want to see. on the days when we've lost some dads to jail or to murder, they give us hope. And so the hope that lives can change if you invest in them, if you believe in them, then lives can change.
Brothers United changed my life, I would say, because of where I come from, what I've been through. I learned to understand it is help out there. Don't be scared to ask for it. If you don't reach, you can't grab. That's it.
They made me more employable, more desirable by employers, which in turn helped me provide for my family and provide for my children and my grandchild. So it makes me a better man, a better father, and a better example.
It showed me like how to be better to my kids, so I went and got custody of my son. My son been with me for a couple months now. So this showed me how to be a better parent all around, just a better man, period.
Initially, I didn't know that it could change men's lives. I didn't know that fathers could change. But it's amazing to me when fathers come back a year later, 2 years later, and tell us thank you. Or they'll make a Facebook post and say, look at what I'm doing now. It's amazing to me about the level of work that we've been able to do and the lives that we've changed in just a short period of time. And the fathers who come back and say, thank you, I needed you, and you were there.
Shout out to Brothers United, man. Be you.
All right, we are back. This is the CSRN podcast, our weekend review. Family, if it sounds like something is going on with my voice, over the weekend I've been yelling at those kids to get out my yard. No, we had an awesome time in the garden and lost my voice, and so much was going on with that. And we're going to give the garden update in a few. Here, I want to put a picture up here, because it's that time of the year that we commemorate May 30th, 2020. That was the Toledo Police Accountability Rally. That was during the George Floyd, Sandra Bland, Mike Brown, all of those things that were happening kind of brought everything, Jody, to a head. And we were the number one group that was doing movement work, and people were asking Brother Washington, what are you guys going to do? Because we see things going on in Ferguson, we see things going on in Minnesota, we see things going on in Philadelphia, Detroit with New Era Detroit. And we said, we got to do it, but it's got to be an accountability rally, and we got to speak truth to power. We got to let people know what they need to do, which is improve themselves spiritually, mentally, morally, and spiritually. They gotta improve themselves by gaining knowledge and treating each other better. So the whole day, man, could not have gone better than it was supposed to. Like it or not, everything that was said was supposed to have been said. And to highlight my Black Lives Matter moment, Jody, on this day was the mutual aid agencies that showed up. These are people that, just like us, decentralized groups in Toledo, and they brought water, they brought milk, they brought the saline, they made sure that everybody had something to eat. They made sure that there was first aid, because whenever we show up, there's always what I call the black bloc provocateurs. These are the people that will show up and try to derail your movement and your rally, and we recognize them too. So on that day, 2020, May 30th, I believe we did everything that we were supposed to do. The message got across, and so many things changed from that. So Jody, when it comes to 2020, May 30th, and I got the most iconic picture up right now, and we've got that picture in our studio.
Yeah, that was
when
actually
Barb
the
Huffman painted that picture, and we were able to get a hold of the whole collection. All right, so maybe later on we'll do that, a Black Lives Matter art exhibit.
Yeah, because the collection actually went to the Toledo Museum of Art last year. as part of their, I believe it was the ABLE.
Yeah,
Or
yeah.
for an event they had. So.
Yeah, for those who we would refer to as differently able.
Yep.
All right.
That was good being in the glass pavilion and
that's right.
Stuff like that. People kept asking me about that. But on the subject of, and see, there's the artwork itself.
Yeah.
So on the subject of that and May Day, as I call it, because there was a lot of things happening around the country. I believe I'm still connected to 2 or 3 live streams from Pittsburgh and stuff. And during that time, I also wrote the Childhood Trauma Series, Volume 1, and the Self-Care Checklist, which came about as a process of that, as I was seeing what was going on in Baltimore and everything like that. Again, I'm not an activist online. I'm an activist full-time. So many nights I sit up and watch live streams just to have another eye on the scene and everything like that. But I want to say, for that instance, what we came to do, besides the provocateurs and everything that kind of got out of hand once outside people came to our protest and decided what we did was not good enough, it was awesome. All the speakers spoke eloquently. There was no reason for the escalation while we were there. We packed up. A lot of people for the first time actually got to hear me, which I'm still getting bookings off of because mostly it's like open mics or you see me online, and that is not what
I'm not getting bookings. I'm getting the opposite. I'm getting the opposite of booking. All right. Oh, well.
But that was one of the places where
That's
I did
what's up.
Silent Face in the Crowd, which people hadn't really heard outside of a feature performance or me going out of town. It's actually featured in Parts Per Billion when we were doing our Aid for Flint missions.
All right.
Stuff like that. So I think that was good, and it let people know it wasn't just Floyd thing. It happened that week, actually. It happened in 12 different cities.
That's right.
There were protests,
Same day.
protests, and they all got tear gassed and wooden bullet, all the other stuff. But it had to happen. You no longer were the crazy person on the corner with the sign.
All right. I'm going to transition right now to this week's edition of the Final Call newspaper. We have some of those in the studio now, and also we have them at my branch library. They allow us to put some copies out. In this week's edition, the headline is Divine Destruction and Devastation. I'm going to just read something right here, Jody. It says that at Final Call press time, several states were still recovering from the recent storm system that swept across parts of the Midwest and South starting between May 15th and 16th. It said the storms killed at least 28 people in Kentucky, Missouri, and Virginia, injuring more than 48 people. It said the bulk of the deaths occurred in Kentucky, where several tornadoes, including the EF2, EF3 tornadoes, damaged hundreds of homes and damaged major roads. There were major road closures. Baseball-sized hail also battered parts of Kentucky. Make sure you get this week's edition of the Final Call because, Jody, the weather is changing.
Yeah.
Like it or not, I always say if there was an apocalypse checklist, and if we looked at America, like it or not, would we be checking all the boxes? All right. Everything that happened in Egypt, what are we doing? Everything that happened in Rome, are we doing the same thing? And there's just a few of us that are saying, hey, look, I think we need to change direction. All right. Things can't be just for the wealthy. All right. Can't anything be for the poor? So we might want to.
We built on stolen land.
Yeah, we might. Okay, so now we're going to get canceled. All right. But anyway, it's true. All right. It's true. So here's what else we've got cooking up for this weekend. The Nation of Islam here in Toledo, we're having what we call Love Ye One Another. It's a workshop where we're going to be focusing on 3 things. Number 1 is disaster preparedness. If we just saw those EF3 tornadoes in Kentucky, just imagine if that was up north. What are we going to do if the power goes off, Jody? What are we going to do if you can't go to Kroger's? What's going to happen if you can't get out of your house? So we've got some of the brothers and sisters that's going to talk about disaster preparedness. Also, what we're going to be discussing is healthy living. Sometimes we're digging our graves with our forks and knives. All right, we might want to change. We heard Roberto Torres saying, "Hey, he runs 5Ks." All right, I might walk a 1K, but I got to do something. We got to start somewhere with the healthy living, changing some of the things that we eat, changing the way that we think, and lastly, we're going to be discussing self-defense. Not aggression, but self-defense. We need to be able to take care of ourselves. We need to be able to defend ourselves. We're not talking about Second Amendment. We're talking about just being able to get somebody up off of you, all right, so that you can get away. So all those things we're going to be discussing. It's a free event. Is it religious? It is not religious. We just figured that, you know what, some of us that are proficient in healthy living, self-defense, and disaster preparedness, let's bring something together. It's going to be at the Frederick Douglass Community Center this Saturday from 12 to 4. Doors open at 12. We'll probably start maybe 12:15, 12:30. Open to the public. Anybody can come. Also, Jody, just going back in time to Sunday the 25th, we had premiered the documentary No Other Land. This was a 2025 Oscar-winning Palestinian film about what's happening in Gaza. And this is one of those things where we're living in a time where horrible things are happening, and I could either stay silent or I could decide that, hey, listen, we need to bring some attention to this, because when it happens to us, then we're like, I wish somebody would have known. Well, you need to show up for others, all right, so that they'll show up for you. And lastly, every Sunday at 4 p.m., show up at Eden Community Garden. We had our season opening a couple of weeks ago, but we're still meeting every week, Sunday from 4 to 6 or 4 until my wife says, I'm done. That's the way it really goes. And lastly, growing your own food is like printing your own money. And at one point, we may be off the grid, so you might want to start growing your stuff, learning how to grow your food. Now, Jody, I think that's all I needed to say for this week. Anything that I forgot, we'll roll it over to next week.
Yep. Well, again, this is this update part of the show where I take you back in time for some of the things that were going on in the community that I was able to attend or be aware of, and then take you forward until our next show. That way, if there's something you want to see or get done, you have the information right there. Brother Washington already took one of mine, which was the Palestine film, No Other Land, premiered in Toledo, Ohio.
How do I take it? All right, it's all good. I had to have something to make me interesting too, all right? You're getting all these bookings, all right? All right.
Well, there was also the Glass City Jubilee, a day of art, music, and camaraderie at the Golden Corral. There, of course, was Eden Garden after we planted everything, and someone else who's running for city council at large, Rob Pasker, he had his opening fundraiser at Toll House, which is great. You can see on my page photos and stuff like that. Make sure you support politics, not just for the presidential thing.
Do the local stuff too. All right, man.
As an election official and an elected official, Ward Chair 18, I implore you to go, because, you know, if you do it every presidential, you might get taken off the list, and then you'll have to be doing provisional and all the other stuff. It's easy to go. It doesn't take time, especially during the non-presidentials, because you just got to go take a couple seconds of your time.
That's
click
right.
A couple buttons. Make sure you read, though. Over the years, and this being my third term, I know a lot of people choose to do red or blue, but you know, there's green, there's independent, there's stuff that you should pay attention to.
All right.
As Torres was saying, special interest groups, that is never good for the community. And we want our communities to grow. There's a lot being taken away from us. I know the orange man in office and stuff is, you know, doing his Wild Bill Hickok thing, but I have to say,
I'm like, here we go. All right.
To me and they're like, the world is ending. I'm like, give it a day. There'll be an injunction. There'll be a lawsuit. It's just mainly to keep his face in the news, which, again, I give him that is good at, but everything else is horrible. Air Force One is no longer made in America. So I'm gonna shut up about that.
Yes.
And go on
man.
to the.
we just got here. Let me escort me out. All right, you're gonna get another booking. I get escorted out. I hate when that happens.
But some of the stuff that's going on this week, just in case you haven't missed it, for all my artistic and creative friends, tomorrow is the Film Mixer 2025, the summer edition. If you don't know what Film Toledo is, and Talented Toledo, they're the people that brought the movies here. If you were seeing the thing about the casino closing and stuff, the series that's connected, something like The Office, I guess.
Yeah.
But that's the people you want to go get to know. Awesome guys. At just about every mixer. When I came back from Paris, I had like 2 days, and I made sure I was at the mixer, because it's a good way if you want to get into acting, into producing, into film and all that stuff.
Did you have to drop that when you got back from Paris? I just got back from Bowling Green, Ohio. You get to come back from. All right, okay.
I had to.
All right, okay. All right, I see what you did there.
Well, a lot of people think I do all the stuff all the time, and I take breaks. Breaks and self-care is very good. I still have 3 albums left to do. Paris was in February. So for time scale and stuff like that, I have to keep bringing it up with the algorithm.
Okay, I got you.
And everything like that. This Thursday at 6 p.m., there's the artist support group. Shout out to Joe and everybody that's in that. This Friday at 6 p.m. is Zack Attack at Party in the Park. That is 400 Water Street, Toledo, Ohio. Also this Saturday, if you want to go to all 3 Sacred Stills.
That's the Grace family.
That's the Grace family.
All right.
You might have seen
I
them
knew
on
one
the
of
news
them.
and everything. They actually do 3 events. I'm a poet, so I only attend the 3rd one. But starting off at 10 a.m. is the first annual celebration of Sacred Still. I can't say that word, but 2108 Collinwood Presbyterian Church. They start off with the musicians, and then by 3 o'clock, because there's 3 events, you get fed, you get to meet the people, know what's on. This is all also on Buckeye Cable, so if you want to be a star or something like that, it's your chance to actually be on TV without having to pay for an agent or some manager or somebody that's going to scam you and tell you have more talent than you do. But Toledo has spoken at 3 o'clock. I hope to see all my griots and poets out there and everything like that. This Sunday, June 1st at 5 o'clock is every Sunday Acoustics Open Jam at 103 10th Street in Toledo, Ohio. So that is my updates for now. If anything else you got coming on or coming up, there's about to be a lot of summer camps. I'm involved with the Optio Go. We have something going on because I'm also board member of Havoc. So on the north end, we have something going on July 4th. I'll be rolling these out as much as I can because my last count was like 13 summer camps around the city of Toledo.
And then you share some on our Facebook page?
Yep, I've been sharing them as much as I can. The Juneteenth parade festival, there's 6 of them. My last count is all coming up, so we'll be trying to post all of them. But one thing that I did want to say, because being an author is fun, it's also very hard in the world of AI and analytics and promotion and stuff. I built my career 10 years ago that I would do none of that. I promote myself, again, hat, clothing. When you see me out, those dollars come out of my pocket. I'm not sponsored. I don't have a manager. I don't have an editor. It can be done. And as this is my 24th publication, I wanted to give you guys a sneak peek before I put it on social media and try and figure out the algorithm and stuff. So this is book 24. It is 18,000 plus words, 60 poems, 10 illustrations representing 1 year of my career, and 38 photos there. If you got to see book 1, this is so much bigger. It actually looks like a textbook. So here's the hardcover of what that looks like. And my sister was teasing me like, what's that gray bar for? So Brother Washington's going to hold this as I explain and show you the paperback. That's the hardcover. When I decided writing books, I wasn't popular. I'm still not popular. I don't think I am a poet. But it's a yearbook. So since book 1, Tears of the Wounded, volume 1, when you purchase a book from me in person, you get to sign that copy. And this copy, this is the hardcover. I reversed it so you can see the back. There are photos from me traveling around the world, doing stuff so you get an example of what art is really like versus just a book that somebody wants you to buy. Things that are part of Toledo are in here. I've added some photos that actually found me my father's name after 42 years of life and everything like that. But you can pick it up on Amazon right now. I'm not going to do the whole pushy promotion and stuff like that. You'll see me out at festivals. You'll see me at events and everything. You can show them the back of the book. Thank you, Brother Washington. I wanted to make sure that anybody that is on their journey of publication can see what it's like without all the advertisement. So the last book had me on stage because that was a representation of a woman named Paula Blocker, aka Stormy. This one is a representation of what you can do when your words are real. They're in the library. Go on Amazon. You can pick up the hardcover, the paperback, the digital version. If you have Prime, it is free. I always make my digital versions free if possible. So that's enough shameless plugging for me right now. This book is blue. The paperback is black. It got the last issue, Childhood Trauma Series, Volume 1. That was a reverse in color because when I first started illustrating and drawing, all I had was a mechanical pencil, a blue big pen, and a black big pen from filling out applications. And here I am a decade later trying to make sure people still believe in creativity and not AI.
All right. Hey, listen, is that it? Because we're gonna.
That's all my stuff for today. If you do need me or anything, contact me off the show. I think most people by now know that we are separate entities when we leave the studio, but stuff like that.
Yeah. Don't be asking me about it. All right. That's what he's trying to say. All right. Or I might show up and do a poem. All right. Hey, if you like what we do, we'd like you to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like it, share it, make a comment. All you have to do is type in, it's like one and done, Community Solidarity Response Network Toledo. I know it's a lot of words. The name used to be a lot longer in 2014, all right? So if you do that once, then click the subscribe, click the notification, so whenever we have a podcast, you'll be able to pull it down. We do have our Black Lives Matter signs. They're $20 each. Hit us up in our inbox. We will bring one to you. If you want to support us by following us on Instagram, Facebook. Listen to us on Spotify because they're giving out tickets for driving. Where's my phone at?
Uh-oh.
If they see you driving and you have that phone, you're going to get a ticket. I think it's $140, and you got to take some type of class. So listen to us on Spotify. Check out our YouTube. And as soon as Jody gets over whatever he's getting over, we're going to be posting on X, formerly known as Twitter. All right.
We'll be on TikTok before that.
Okay. Well, okay. All right. Man, I just can't catch a break here. Hey, Jody, this is the part of our podcast where we're about to close out. And we don't close out with just saying meeting is adjourned or bang a gavel. We learn to use creative expression, and we have what we call 5 minutes of heat, and that takes from a song, rap song in maybe the late 80s, early 90s that was called 5 Minutes of Funk. That was Houdini. You would not know anything about that, all right? But I would.
Baby differs.
All right, but I would. I would. And we took the song, we remixed the name, and we called the end of our meetings 5 Minutes of Heat. Jody has been our resident spoken word artist. Jody, what do you have for us today?
Yep. And again, happy Mental Health Awareness Month. If you do need help out there, there is help. Make sure you contact people and let people know and everything like that. I believe the 988 number is available as someone that does this work, who started doing this work. And my first work was on domestic violence and the schisms and the onion, that it's not always the person who can't leave, but the person who doesn't know where else to go. There are a lot of organizations that are around. I'm also a member with Survivor Speak, and last year we went to Washington, D.C. and changed over 100 laws for people to be able to break leases and get out away from their abuser that I'm very proud of. So this piece is called Subscribe, prefacing everything. Everything you hear for the next year or two is new. They won't be in books yet. They will be going into new books. That is my writing process. So this piece is called Subscribe, and let's begin. Peace. What happened to people? Where did we go? We don't have conversations anymore. Everything is a trauma bond or triggering in some way. I used to go to my friend's page and see something that happened to them in their day. And now all I see is short clips from other people's lives. I don't even know if you are you anymore because I don't see you no more. Just advertisement and triggering information that I really did not need to know. But now I'm staring at it in awe because that could be me. It's like people don't even read the terms of service anymore. We just click and instantly apply this filter to whatever might be happening in your real life. So someone will respond to you and the algorithm will let more people, let more of your friends who already have seen what you're doing be visible. But if that many people responded to you in person all at once, you would be terrified and overwhelmed with the sight of every waking moment. I feel lost in the connection of others, numb and overstimulated at the same time. But I had just received a notification that my viewership is down, and if I applied this many filters, boosted this many posts, or bought this blue check that allows me into exclusive opportunities, and posted this many short clips of people abusing, yes, abusing all of humanity while my head floats in the corner, desensitized to chat. Which, funny story, when I first started online, I thought chat was a Tom from MySpace since everybody said it so fast, and then I realized they were just talking to themselves. I might make $1 or $2, and my rent is due. Prices have gone up, and I vacation only just to take a viral pic or video of some influencer who I'm almost 90% sure might not even be real themselves. Since AI is the thing now, has said I should do so I can be free, so I should do the whole time in complete remorse because things don't seem to be getting any better. Autocorrect is awesome. It's always trying to sound human. I hope you got that line back there, but our ancestors, the people before we decided to put ourselves in tiny boxes and pay bills and listen to people that look down on us but ask us for all of our wealth, didn't have therapists, didn't have health care, which seems more like a life sentence into a death you might not be able to afford. They had nature and ancestors and long walks and breaking bread with each other in villages that relied upon one another in accountability and making mistakes until you get it right, not letting some generated program that stole from other people's mistakes of getting it right make yours empty. That's what logging on feels like now. So I ask, what happened to people? Where did we all go? Sucked into our own devices, our personal hells of obsessing over something that can give us nothing back but an empty black hole that is forever hungry and does not know compassion for humanity because it has none. It's only capable of imitating what we feed it, and as we give less and less to ourselves, maybe it does look more like reality. Peace.
And as always, we snap our fingers. All right, Jody, that was dynamite, bro. That was dynamite. Hey, listen, I'm looking forward to being back here at My Branch Library next week. And as always, all lives can't matter until what? Black lives matter. And black lives can't matter until all black lives matter. Justice or else?
Yeah.
Peace.